Hello chaps and japesses, and how is everybody today? So it's time for an update video on what's been going on in the world of the Feed the Beast. So without further ado, let us begin. So basically since the last episode I've been derping around with lots of different types of energy to try and figure out what would be the best source of energy to try and go for in the long run. The conclusion I came to very quickly is solar power will be the best way to go in the long run, but in the meantime I meddled with a few other things, so we'll run through those just now in terms of what I've meddled with, just to keep you up to date. As you can see around the house, not a huge amount has changed. A couple of new machines which we'll cover just briefly. Chest room's pretty much the same, couple of chest upgrades and such like. Yeah, not too much has changed around here. There is a new premises being built. You will see that in the next episode, and everything will be moved into there, because this is just a temporary building I've decided. And yeah, we've got a new location, a new house, and everything should look much neater and tidier, as you will see once we head downstairs in a second. So up here, first of all, let's cover the new things. So these three here, centrifuge, squeezer, and carpenter. These have been mainly used for bee-related things. I played with the bees for a day or so. I've stopped doing them just now. I didn't really have a good understanding. We'll come back to these at some later stage. Not going to go into those at all. We have a new machine, the induction smelter, used to make hardened glass. Which I've used for a few things, not much else. The rest of these machines here are still the same. Over here, just made a basic recycler, and that recycles your stuff that you don't want down into scrap, which is used for something which I'll show you later on. Just let this run, there you go. So you get a scrap occasionally when you chuck items through the recycler. And we have a electric furnace, so basically the equivalent of this one, except this runs on the EU energy instead of the MJ energy, which this one runs on. So that's it for those little machines there. Nothing too complicated there. Yeah, all fairly simple. So the first thing that I was messing around with to see if it was going to be a viable energy source or not is bluetricity. So bluetricity is a source of energy which can power a few different machines. So basically what we have up on the roof is a bunch of blue electric solar panels, so like so. On their own they don't produce very much power. When you get a cluster of them like this, they do not too bad. It's nothing spectacular. It's definitely not going to set the world on fire, and it's certainly not a permanent power method, but I wanted to see if it could be useful for anything. So what I did was hook it up to 3 battery boxes. Again, these are bluetricity battery boxes. It doesn't really give you an exact number of how much power. This power's all being used anyway downstairs. I'll show you in a second. And all we have here is a alloy furnace, which works on just coal or whatever burning substances you would normally use, and we have the blue electric alloy furnace, which uses the actual power from the solar panels and the battery boxes. So that's all we have for that stuff just now. So this is a cable which goes from the solar panels into the battery boxes, and then from the battery boxes this cable goes down into here, and this is a bluetricity to MJ engine. It doesn't have a UI, so you can't see what's going on inside it, but I've been using it just to power this magma crucible, and just to get occasional little bits extra of magma to go into the tank. It does a good enough job for that. There's nothing quick. As you can see, power usage is 12 MJs. This thing apparently can power up to 32 MJs a second if it's got enough energy production, so like solar panels to power it, then it can go quite quick. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's free energy, it's free lava, so that's all I've been using this for really. Nothing special there at all. Once I saw how slow this thing was going with the solar panels, I realised that the bluetricity wasn't going to be a viable source of energy at all, unfortunately. The next thing that I looked into When I was researching on the internet, there was a few people saying that you could use the MFFS extractors, capacitors and converter to generate EU power. This perhaps maybe used to be the case, but it looks like they've changed it. Basically the things I was reading saying that you could use the extractor to extract energy from forcicium, which is a thing you get from monazite ore. You could then convert that into the MFFS power which it uses, and then use this converter thing here to convert it into EU, and that you would get a profit of EU when you were doing this. However, I tested out the system and no, that's not the case. This thing uses the exact amount of EU to power it as it does create, so it just goes round in a loop and produces nothing extra. So this was a non-starter basically for these things. Not sure if I'll ever use anything to do these again in the future, we'll see. I don't think there's a huge amount of uses that I would need them for, so but no power production from them, unfortunately. Excuse me. Had a bit of a cold the last week or so, still getting through that. The throat's still a bit raw, so if I sound a bit more grunty, then that's why. Okay, next thing that I looked into power source wise, we obviously still have our lava tank here, still doing fine. Thermal generator, just the same I believe as it was before as well, that just takes lava in and generates EU into the MFE there. Yes, so over here, yes, let's talk about these things first. So this is a tesseract, a liquid tesseract. What this does is it allows you to wirelessly transmit liquid. So basically in it you can set it up for either public access frequencies or private frequencies, and it can be send or receive. So at the moment this one receives lava, so you basically send up your frequencies how you want them. So let's say it's lava pool send, so that's from the lava pool. Tick. What that'll do now is that'll draw lava from the liquid tesseract, which is down at the lava pool, which I will show you shortly. All it does then is it chucks straight into the lava tank there. That's it. Simple. They take a few bits of materials to make, some ender pearls and stuff like that, but not too bad. Let's just disable that just now. We'll go downstairs and we'll show you the setup for the lava pool. Yep, give me 2 seconds, I'll meet you back downstairs. So here we are down in the branch mine, and this is the source of lava that I'm using presently. So a big lava pool all the way around here, goes all the way back there as well. These pumps can drain from quite a radius, so you stick it in the middle as best you can and then let it do its thing. So basically, exact opposite of the setup from downstairs. So the pump, and this is the same pump we've always been using for pulling out liquid, and the 4 redstone engines, so nothing different there. Straight into a waterproof pipe, straight into the tesseract. This one's set to send only, so all this does is it's on frequency 2, and as you saw upstairs, you set the other one to receive on frequency 2, and it receives it. So that's it, sends the lava upstairs, bish bash bosh, done, nice and easy. Yeah, no worries. Only thing with these things, you have to be in loaded chunks for them to work. There's no internal storage, so there's no way to use it cross-world or anything like that on the server, because obviously the world anchors are banned. If you had it somewhere, or like a single player or a server where you were allowed world anchors, then you would be able to use these cross-world. You just set up a world anchor, and then you could transmit the lava or whatever liquid you wanted to through the liquid tesseracts. So yeah, that's them. Right, let me head back upstairs and we shall continue. So as we've seen in my previous episodes, lava is a decent source of energy, and with most places that you'll have a lot of lava pools down in the lower layers, so you could quite easily use these tesseracts in the lava for a long time to power yourself. But it doesn't produce a huge amount of energy. I mean, 30,000 EUs per bucket using the thermal generator here. It's not a bad amount, but it could be better. So then we stumbled across oil. So I started to look into oil to see if it would be any use as a good power source or not. And as it turns out, yes it is. So basically the process here is that you use the oil which you get from the oil spouts, do you call them spouts? I'll show you one. There's one over here in the water, and there's another one which I'll show you as well. You can probably see the system there. There it is there. So there's an oil spout. So you get them in the water sometimes, and you also get them on land. So this one here is one which was on land. So basically set up the pump system as before, and again set up the liquid tesseract here as before as well. And this goes a long way down, so I'll show you down here. This was a particularly big oil well. I got a lot of oil, and it's still not done. There's still this huge pool here, and it goes quite deep as well. Another, what's that, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 layers worth, so another good few buckets there. In total, this oil well looks like it's going to be producing about 1,000 buckets for me. It's produced about 750 so far, so a good chunk of oil out of that there. Let's just activate that. Hover mode is not disabled. You're lying. We're still going slow. Let's try again. Okay, so hover mode disabled on and off. Key seems to be broken. Right, never mind. We're up now. Okay, so back over this way, avoiding any angry mobs. So yes, the oil was pumped into the liquid tesseract. From the liquid tesseract, we had the other one set up on the side of this tank here. You can see there's a tiny little bottle of oil left in it. So all you do is you hook the liquid tesseract directly up to the valve, set it, as we have with this one, to receive, and then it will receive the oil from the other one and pumps it into the tank. So at one stage this tank was full, absolutely full of oil, and so I had to stop basically pumping it because there was no space for it. What you do then is you refine the oil using this thing, which is a refinery. So it's pumped in at the side, again just a redstone engine, and it comes pumped out at the front when it becomes fuel, which is this stuff here. Now fuel is a very, very good source of energy. In a diesel generator, which are these things, you get 384,000 EU per bucket. So for every 1,000 liquid, you get 384,000 EU. So that's a really good ratio. Now the only thing that's bad about that is that these things are quite slow. They only output at 12 EU per tick, so not particularly quickly. So you basically just do what I've done. You build a bank of the things. So far I've got 12. I might get a few more yet to make it up to 15. They output at a good rate now. Fairly happy with the rate. All we've got here are these pipes. These are liquiducts, so basically just like another version of these waterproof pipes. They just look a bit nicer. I think they look quite cool with the fuel running through them as well. They're just attached to the back of the diesel generator, and then the power output goes out the front. Well, hello zombie with a sword. Ow! He's almost killed me. Okay, let me be back in a second once I've dealt with this zombie. I really haven't been having a good day with zombies interrupting me. If you watch my other video, you'll see why. So there we go. Bad zombie. It's surprising me like that. So what was I saying? Yes, so the output of the power goes into MFSUs. Now these are things which hold up to 10 million EU instead of the MFEs which only hold 600,000. So a good chunk of power being held in there. So I've got, what's that, 13 million EU saved up at the moment. Yeah, so fuel, excellent power source, really easy to get if you just pump it out for the oil with the tesseracts, refine it into another tank, and then pump it into the diesel generators. A nice setup, a lot of power, and this lasts for a long time. As you can see, it's hardly ticking out at all, and I'm still on the very first load of oil that I took out of that spout. So yeah, really good. So what am I doing with all this power? Well, apart from the obvious, using it for the tools and grinding materials and powering and furnaces and all that usual sort of stuff. I'm also using it for this thing, which is a matter fabricator. Now what this does is this uses raw power, and it needs about 16 million EU to produce 1 UU matter. What you need the UU matter for is for the advanced solar panels. So you can quite easily make yourself the normal solar panels without any sort of difficulty. I mean, it's some equipment, but nothing too bad. However, as soon as you get up to the advanced ones, then you're going to need this stuff, which is Cenarium. And this can only be made with UU. So to make an advanced solar panel, you need 2 UU. To make a hybrid solar panel, you need 6 UU, as well as a bunch of other things. And to make the ultimate hybrid, you need something crazy that I'm not going to even work out at this point, because it's going to be a long time till I get there. Yeah, so hybrid I think is quite achievable. Working my way up to 6 UU at the moment. And then we'll be able to get some good power. So the solar panels are good because they're not going to use any sort of resources except for the sun. The advanced solar panels produce 8 EU a tick, and the hybrids produce 64 EU a tick. So one hybrid is the equivalent of probably, what's that, so 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. So one hybrid is the equivalent of about 5 of these diesel generators, except it doesn't use any fuel at all. Obviously it only runs during the daytime at full power. You only get a limited amount of power at night, but still it's free power, free energy, so solar panels are definitely the way to go for the future. So generating UU to get that. One of the things that I needed to make in order to create the UU and indeed create the matter fabricator was this thing. Now this is an implosion compressor. It's another one of these fancy multi-block machines which use these reinforced and standard casings, just like the blast furnace and the industrial grinder. So another chunk of good resources needed for this thing as well. And all this does is this can create the iridium plates for you, which are used in quite a lot of advanced recipes. It's probably used for other stuff as well, but that's the only practical use I've seen for it so far. So we've got one of these now as well. So it's an implosion compressor for iridium plates. So with that, I do believe that is everything updated on what's been going on here. Finally happy to get a good power source. I've got plenty of oil spouts around about where I live, and indeed the new location as well. So oil's not going to be a problem. Whenever I need more, I can just tesseract it over into a tank and then get it refined into the fuel. All the time creating more and more solar panels, so I can rely less and less on this fuel and more on just solar. So that's the long-term plan. So yeah, for the next video I should be moved into the new building. You'll be able to see it all in all its glory. I'm working on it bits and bits. It's the first decorative thing. It's going to be a lot better than just sitting in a hole in the ground, that's for sure. So yeah, I think that's it for now. Without further ado, let's just get up here and end up outside where it's nice and sunny. There we go. So that's it for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, please subscribe if you wish to. It is your choice, it's a free country after all. And with that, we shall see you next time. Adios.